Welcome back to week 4 of the Panther Pigskin preview. I'm Aiden McKenna.
I am Kenny Baker.
I'm Jackson Ruth.
And I'm Alex Dugan.
So, how'd you guys think Springboro went last week? Came out with a win, 21-7. Just go ahead and dive into what your thoughts were on the game.
I think the offense started out a little bit slow. We made some mental mistakes in our earlier drives, and then, we really turned it around later in the second quarter and the second half.
I thought we needed to do a better job of starting and finishing games. I feel like at the end of the game, when we're trying to chew the clock, we kind of got caught up on ourselves and couldn't do it.
On the defensive side of the ball, that was definitely the best game we've played from start to finish. We came out hot again, which we have, and we've yet to give up a first half touchdown, which is pretty impressive to me. So we just got to keep that up. But we still had trouble finishing. Coach Ramsey said it again. We got to be able to finish as a team, and that will be really helpful for us in the future.
That's definitely something that's been a big focal point for us this week. We've talked about it every single day at practice so far. And more on the Springboro game is that we had some really good drives on offense, I would say, but then there were some drives where they weren't so good, and we would either turn it over or punt, which are just things that we're going to have to lessen down as we go into GCL play this week. And this team we're playing this week, LaSalle, it's a lot different animal than we've played so far because there's so much more that is going to happen than just what's happening on the field, all the outside noise and everything that comes with it. And then we'll also talk about our players of the game from Springboro. The offensive player of the game is going to go to Caden Eastep. He had himself a big day, 19 for 25, 242 passing yards, and 3 touchdowns. Also ran the ball pretty well.
Yep. On the defense side of the ball, we're going to give it to Derek Uran again. Derek had 8 tackles, 3 solos, 1 sack, and 2.5 tackles for a loss. He honestly just makes our defense kind of go with his speed and his aggression. He's very helpful, great leader on the defense side of the ball, and Derek had another great game.
The play of the game also is going to go to Caden Eastep's pass to Chase Walpole when the snap got snapped off the motion, and no one on our offensive line moved, but Caden grabbed the ball, picked it up, threw it about 30 yards downfield, and Walpole made a one-handed catch that could have been with 2 hands, I thought. Maybe I was wrong, but made it with 1 hand, made it look fancy, so kudos to him for making that play. Both of them, they made a great play, and that was a big momentum change in the game for us.
That play was a mess. He made something out of nothing. I know. I got up, ball snapped. I saw next to me, Nick got ran over, and then me, I didn't know what was going on. I thought the play was dead, but we ended up 30 yards down the field. It's an awesome play.
Something I want to point out from this week's game is special teams. We were a lot better this week. We talked about it on the Pigskin last week, how we have to clean that up. It was a struggle against Cuffketh, and Adam was putting balls in the end zone. Derek had a great tackle on kickoff, so we got to keep that up against LaSalle because that's going to be a big point in the game.
Also, Drew Waldman had a couple good returns at punt returner.
He did.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing something right on special teams when your sideline's jumping up and down.
Yeah.
So special teams is doing something good when that's happening. So we'll go in and we'll talk about LaSalle, what you guys think, we're talking about key players and what the game plan is going to be going into this week.
On the defense side of the ball, they have a really good fast quarterback. His name's Javier Carter. We just kind of got to be able to contain him, kind of like the Cash Harney from Cuffketh. He's great with his legs, probably better with his legs, very fast. They have Jack McLaughlin, receiver number 11. He's small, but he's shifty. He's a good target for them, and I think they're going to be pretty good offensively. They're big up front. It's going to be a challenge. They're going to scheme us, put us in tough situations with formations. They have a great coaching staff, so it's going to be a good one.
Yeah. Offensively, I think their best defensive player in Caleb Traylor. He tore his ACL in week 2, so that's a big loss for their defense and their secondary. I know he was the one who was making all the calls and all the checks for them, so that's going to help us out a little bit. Sorry for Caleb tearing his ACL, but yeah. And then, we're not – so far, LaSalle hasn't – they've played a couple different teams, and they played a team last week that ran the triple option, so they didn't really have to face the passing attack. And obviously with Caden, that's been a big part of our game this year. So I think we're going to go into the game and see if we're going to wear them down with the run or attack them in the air. I think it's all just going to decide on how they decide to play us.
I think kind of going off what JR said, the run game is important. We watched the Fairmont game, and they just attacked them. And you could see their offensive line, that offensive line was aggressive. They went after the D-line, and the LaSalle got knocked off the ball. They weren't ready for it, and I think that's going to be a big plan this week. Because LaSalle, they have 2 interior defensive linemen. They're pretty big dudes, and they had 2 edge rushers that are a little skinnier, but they're faster. So we're just going to hope to run the ball and get up to the linebackers, and if that's not working, we'll go to the pass. We'll have them feed off each other.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and some of those more key players that add on to their quarterback, Javier Carter. They have Max Keefe. He's a Division I talent at tackle. We're going to see him playing a little bit of both ways. Going to play some D-end as well as tackle on the offensive side of the ball. Then they have Hunter Ottigan, who's committed to Army. He's their tight end, blocking tight end, and he's also going to play some D-end for them. So they're going to have 2 of their athletes at D-end, but then they're also going to have their nose tackles, D tackles. They're some big boys, and we do know they like to swim, and they're trying to get to that quarterback, which I think that's fine. We're going to have a game plan ready to counter that, and that's fine. And they're going to run some things we haven't seen before. They're going to jump fronts at the line, which is okay. Not going to be anything too hard for us to handle for how well we've prepared so far this week. And overall, I think it's just going to be trusting what we've done this week and adjusting on the fly to some things if we have to.
Something I want to point out is Coach Ramsey said they lost 20 of their 22 starters last year. So I think that's big for us. Something that that benefits us is we have a lot of returning players from last year. So we have GCL experience, and it's different when you get into GCL play. It's physical. It just means a lot more. So I think that's something we have more as an advantage.
Another thing offensively, LaSalle's defense, they like to blitz. We've been going over it a lot. They got a lot of blitzes that we've seen on film, and they do it like almost every other play. They like to bring the backers, a lot of stunts on the interior, but I think with our game plan, it shouldn't be an issue. We should be able to run the ball.
So this week, this is the first time we haven't played them week 10, and I don't know how long, and I feel like we've all talked about it, and we've talked about it as a team. That's something we're looking forward to, is starting GCL 2 weeks earlier than we normally do. And I feel like this has been a big point of emphasis for us, is there's more than just the football game, this one game that's riding on this. There's what's going to happen in the playoffs, what's going to happen with the GCL championship, who's going to win that. That all starts this week with this game. So what are some big things that could come out of this if we do come out with a win, which I know we're all confident that we will?
I think starting 1-0 in GCL play is important. I mean, Ramsey said if you don't win the first one, it's hard to win the next 2. And LaSalle is our first game in GCL play, so it's an very important game for the rest of the season and for GCL play.
I think Aiden said it perfectly. You got to start out 1-0 against the South. It's kind of been our mindset. Just we're back to 0-0. We got to go 1-0 this week. Stay focused on the South, not look ahead. But it's kind of hard not to look ahead too. I'm saying that, but it's very hard. Ax and Moeller, they're nice to look at, so you kind of want to go and play them too. But you just got to stay focused, stay level-headed, and go 1-0 against the South this week.
Yep, and that's what we have to think about. And then there's also the fact that we haven't started off 4-0 since 2009, which is something that we are going to strive for to keep doing every week, but we're 1-0 after each game's over. So I think that's not something we really need to look at. Just got to look at it as we got to go 1-0 this week, and then we'll reset the mindset, have the same thing next week. So, superstitions. What are they before the game?
My superstition before the game is I take the same 4 people to Jersey Mike's every day. or every Friday. I've ate Jersey Mike's the last 2 years for football and basketball. So I take me, Caden Nista, Derek Huron, and Jared Lammers. We all play some music, get up in the car, and just go get some Jersey Mike's and eat back at Elder.
Yeah, I also go to Jersey Mike's, and then I go home after and come back up to Eller and stretch, run a couple routes on the field by myself, and go to Mass.
So mine is I go to the Subway every time, get the exact same order. It is a foot long. It's called the Philly, and then I get a bag of chips with Doritos and an orange Gatorade.
Before the game?
Before the game, right after school. Yeah, I get hungry, you know.
No comment.
What do you do, Kenny?
My superstition, I do also go to Jersey Mike's.
Okay.
I've got the same thing for the past 2 years, but they said that, so I'll say my other one. I drink a blue Gator Light before every game and also a white Red Bull before every game.
A Red Bull before the game?
It's a Red Bull. What's wrong with a Red Bull?
Gets you juiced up.
No comment.
It's better than Nick and Seb drinking their monsters before the game.
That is bad. That is bad.
Well, thank you for watching. Until next week.